Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzalez, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
Oh baby, we are riding the high right now of an incredible week here at the Gonzalez residence. What happened, Rachel?
Well, a little bit of chaos on Sunday led to this wonderful week.
Oh
I think
gosh.
we should talk about that chaos a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we're recording today is just because, well, first of all, like, we're so excited about the effect of this, and I think that maybe you'll feel some of this.
Yes.
And you can have this effect in your life too. And it was just so simple, but so profound, and where it started versus where it ended is just...
Yeah, so let me paint this a little bit for you. So August was born, he is almost 9 months old. I'm a little bit baffled by that because, whoa. On the 22nd, he will be 40 weeks old. So he will be as old outside of my womb as he was inside when he was born. So that's pretty awesome. I love those kinds of things. So for 9 months, I've been thinking about, okay, so eventually, in our 3-bedroom house, we are going to have to combine our babies' rooms, have them sleep in the same room. How is that going to work?
How is it going to work?
And I've been asking that a lot.
And we might actually like grab a floor plan of our house to share with you so you can understand and geek out on it if you'd like. So if you go to babiesinbiz.com/77, I think, or whichever episode number we're on, you can see the floor plan. We'll show you what it was and where it is now. We could not figure out where are we going to put a second crib, second bed to combine the boys.
Yeah, I mean, in the one room, you'll see there's a big closet. It takes up the entire wall. In the other room, there's a very small closet, but it's a big door that's there.
Multiple
it has
walls
lights
that you can use.
Yeah, there's lots of windows in that door. Just a lot of different things. It's right next to the front room, the living room. You'd hear stuff from the kitchen. So lots of different obstacles. But what we did was, I came to you and I said, okay, so here's my thought. I think we switch Lincoln's room and the office, switch them out, because we don't need that much space for our office, and this desk could totally fit, and it would take up this much space. And then I think that Lincoln would really like the space in there.
Yes, we started talking about, well, what if the reason that we didn't set it up that way in the beginning, what if that didn't matter? What are some of the amazing things that could come out of changing it up? And so we just ended up with this big list of like, he might really like this.
Yes.
And then, well, actually, our office productivity might also be better by putting us towards the back of the house. It was like,
you'll get to see the layout of the house too. So we have the garage, then we have the office, which is where it is now. Then we have the guest bath. Then we have our bedroom, down one hall.
Which is where the baby sleeps during the day.
Correct. So I would be able to do all of my activities during the day and not interrupt Lincoln with the nanny that takes care of Lincoln here at the house. So really, all the different things, sound was a thing before as an obstacle, and the light, and not being able to black it out, and all these things.
And we're like...
But with August, we blacked out the office so that he could sleep in there. So we're already blacking out that room. That's possible.
We were like, kind of racking your brains like, there was a good reason why we did it this way before, right?
Right. And then
the big answer was sound. It was like the dog would go off at the front door, and then it would definitely wake Lincoln if he was sleeping.
Correct.
So there were some of these reasons that we had in place that made us not even consider the possibility of swapping these rooms.
Right. But then when we were looking at all of the upside versus that, we saw that the upside was far overly and above the better thing to look at, and that there were so many things that were at the upside, as opposed to those little tiny things that at this point kind of didn't matter.
The stop and pause moment here is there are a lot of things that we have decided in our heads are not possible.
Yeah. And we just don't revisit them.
And we never revisit them.
Yep.
So we're taking this as a personal lesson, which is like those things in our lives beg for questions.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. And revisiting them. Maybe there are some things in your life that you just see as maybe off limits.
Yeah,
in
or you
some
just
way.
don't want to deal with it at all.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. You can maybe ask, what are the reasons again?
Yeah.
Are those reasons still valid?
Yeah. So I think it's really an awesome thing. We opened this podcast up, this episode, with, we had a really great week. Let's talk about that. I'm really excited to talk about that.
Yeah, so as you can expect, we switched the rooms.
Yeah. Oh, and the crazy time on Sunday was us getting our office stuff, our space. So we have a desk that has a shelf on top of it.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy. It's a heavy desk.
Yeah.
It's very well made. It was custom made
Yeah.
for your parents' house that they have for their space. Anyway, really heavy desk.
Just a
Lots of screws
massive
that
move.
put things together, lots of moves. Okay, so it literally took us all day.
It would have taken
All
us
day long.
2 hours.
Correct. Without children.
Without children? Holy crap.
But I had to stop. Of course, we had to stop to feed everybody multiple times a day. And then I have a breastfeeding baby still, so I had to feed him. And then I had to nap him. And then we had Lincoln. And then we needed to stop and play. And I think we had the marker out for a bit on the wall, I'm pretty sure, at one point. I mean, there were chaotic moments in that day. And I remember looking at you at one point and we're like, how are we going to bring this to a conclusion?
And it was also like, we have to move now.
And we're approaching bedtime for both of our
Bedtimes.
kids. And we're like, okay,
oh my Lord.
we're going to do our last nap in our bedroom for August so that we can finish up the office. Then we're going to put Lincoln down and we'll finish this. So we prioritized what we needed to get out and what we needed to get in. We got Lincoln's bedroom set up to the bare minimum, crib, and then maybe the chair, some other things that we wanted to move in there. It was quite the juggle
wild
towards the end. But it was a real stressful day there.
Oh man, yeah, my Aura ring was like, you're stressed. Do you want to relax for a little while? I was like, no, shut up, we're finishing this. So it was worth going through
Absolutely.
that. And I was joking with Rachel, I was like, hey babe, so it took us 8 hours to do this.
You're going to love this math, he says.
I was like, you're gonna love this math. Will you indulge me? She's like, yeah, of course. And I said, so if we get back just 15 minutes of productivity a day by making this change, we will get a return on our time. And I already forget what it was. It was like
I don't know.
within 2 months,
That's what I was...
we will get back all 8 hours of that time that we invested, and then we'll be on the plus.
I can tell you we made back our time this week.
Way fast. So yeah, it's like I conservatively estimated how fast we would get our stuff back. I think within 2 weeks we will have already got a return on our time invested.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I feel like it was already way more productive for me.
we face way less noise. So we're working from home, and then we'll have the nanny here with Lincoln, and it can be pretty noisy because we're doing kid stuff. And so now the room is not bordering all of that. The office is not bordering that. So now we don't have the noise.
Also, if we have to leave to get a drink or the bathroom, whatever that is, we have to go right past his space where he's at.
And then
it's so
sometimes
disruptive.
he can feel very agitated that we're not coming out to play and hang out, and now we're going back to work.
Yeah.
So we save all of that and all that drama. It's easier to go pick up the baby and put him back down because, again, we're not
all in
going
the same
through
hall.
the middle of the house anymore. This morning we came out to record the podcast.
He didn't even know we left?
He had no idea that we left and went out into the garage. So all these things add up to more time, and less distraction means that you're not having to refocus and refocus and refocus. And
That's
that,
so
I
big.
think, is been the big deal this week.
Well, for me, I'm project managing all these things with our team. I need to take this one thing. If we're writing a piece of content, it has to go through write, review. We're getting it to our team to put up on the website. Then we're going to review it again. There are so many steps. I think it might be a 5-step process
like 6
at
to
the
8.
least.
6 to 8,
Yeah,
yeah.
6 to 8. From the very beginning to the end. And I have to see that thing all the way through. Otherwise, it's not going to get all the way delegated. And then it gets lost in project management. So making sure that all these pieces go together and I'm able to have those clear thoughts. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would get super agitated because I just didn't have enough time blocks together to actually make that happen.
Without distraction.
So for me, I made my time back up from this week as opposed to weeks previous. I
So fast.
probably tripled it,
So
what I
fast.
normally get.
Yeah, and then we were able to put together an entire new sales funnel for our business. We're launching a new offer. We're gonna
within this week.
Yeah, within a week. So normally this kind of thing would have taken us weeks to get going and write the scripts, record the videos, put the pages together.
Just to like scrap things together because we're trying to do it on the tail end of a day or at night or all these different creative ways of getting time.
So it's like, man, what an incredible week. Who knows what next week will hold.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But
you know what? Something came to me when, we're here in this new office, and I just had the thought, we really didn't know what kind of a rut we had been in previous in the other office, because there's so many different things that just became normal, or there were frustrations, or it's always going to be this way, or whatever those thoughts and feelings are, but it was a rut and we didn't realize we were in it until we moved.
Wow.
So a lot of different things came from the move, and one of that was that.
Well, okay, wow, that hit me in a different way, because I think about like our fitness journey too. We've been sharing a lot about that. It's like once we started going to the gym and losing the weight, building the muscle, getting our energy back, you didn't realize how much of a rut you were in until you're out of it.
Yeah. Well, and then me being in so much pain physically, you thought I was just being a wimp.
Yeah, I did.
And you're like, why can't she hack this? And I was just in a lot of pain, low level pain, but you don't know what 100% is until you lose it, and then you get it back. It's dwindled over time, and then you get it back. You're like, whoa, this is what 100% is. I also thought for the room, just to give you a little bit of kind of inside look into what it was in the previous room. So Lincoln knew what was in that room. He knew that there were a lot of interesting things. He knew there were drawers where there were things. He knew, oh my gosh, there was a monster in there.
There was a monster.
He loved feeding this monster. Mm-hmm. The monster loved markers, crayons, pens, whatever that was. It was our printer.
Yes.
He knew that it lived in there, and he knew that it was plugged in, and he could give it energy by turning it on. So this was a game. He loved it. And the office door was open at any point. I mean, heaven forbid we should forget to lock it. And he's right in there. So super frustrating, things coming out of there, just the organization, just that. I don't know if you can feel that, but that was part of the thing about that other room. And with this room, we have the boundary of he just doesn't go in there.
Period.
He's just not allowed in there. He doesn't know what's in there. I don't try to multitask with him on my lap. That had been the case with the other one. And just breaking that.
When you see the layout of the house, you'll realize why he was constantly slipping into the room.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And now he can slip into the room freely because it's his room.
Because it's his room, yeah. That's been cool, too, seeing him go into his room, which is right there off of the main area of the home.
Yeah.
Go in there and play, or go in there and grab things and bring them out to the main room. I think just really opened some things up. Yeah. So if you go to babiesandbiz.com/77, I think that's what this episode is. Whatever it is. We didn't look at the numbers before we started. We got a community question there for you, which is, what is frustrating you about your environment right now? Could be at home or at work.
Yep.
So the question is, like, what's one thing you're going to change this week to help relieve your frustration? So you might
change your environment in some way.
Change your environment in some way, because when you change your environment, it affects your whole mental, emotional state of being.
You can have different expectations for yourself, your space, all that stuff.
And you never know what kind of like cool things will show up when you create that new space for you.
Yeah.
So that's the magic that we invite you to here. So man.
So what are you going to change up?
What are you going to change up? You don't know what 100% looks like until you get it back.
Right. And that's true in fitness and in your business and all the things.
Ooh, it's so juicy. I'm going to think about that. All right. Well, we appreciate you for tuning in. If you haven't already, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is you're listening. Those reviews help us bring in new listeners to help enjoy the show.
Share it with your friends.
Appreciate you for being here.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.